Unfortunately, Walt Disney World has seen a first large string of layoffs come to its property. Not necessarily Disney-specific cast members, but third-party participants from the Palmas and Patina restaurant groups, food employees, had been laid off across the property in various locations. They happen to run several restaurants within Epcot, most notably Disney Springs and other places where these employees are now put on notice, unfortunately, and they will no longer have a job. We did see that shortly after Universal Orlando had reopened, they were already issuing pink slips to some of their own employees because there was just a lack of demand, and they had to sort of manage those costs. And I think we all had the fear that layoffs were coming to Disney World. Didn't anticipate it becoming third party right off the bat. I know some places in like Disney Springs, which is filled with third party participants, some of them haven't even reopened yet. Some locations have not even opened up their doors just because some aren't even ready to come back. Others, I think, might be a little nervous about coming back. And we also heard that Amble Hills Creamery along the Disney Boardwalk, they are not returning. And it sounds like they had another location they were going to be opening in Disney Springs that will also not be opening.
I thought they went bankrupt.
That was a story a few months ago.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's official as of this week.
Sad.
They aren't returning to their Disney's Boardwalk resort area. And so you have a situation where companies are struggling financially in such a big degree because they can't reopen, most of them. Those that can are struggling because they're not getting enough business. And now we're watching as employees are being laid off from a third-party perspective at Walt Disney World. And we saw Universal laying off some employees in their property. How long, and I hate even thinking about this, how long before Walt Disney World Disney-specific cast members start getting those pink slips, Katrina?
I don't even want to say a date because it's just like so hard to think about. And especially like Disneyland. Like Disneyland, they haven't even opened yet. So there's not, and it sucks because I feel like, even if they in September, they might have to start laying people off in October, which sucks for everybody. And then, Disney World, I think, again, they kind of laid off a lot of the people. I mean, already they don't have a college program. And they did, what is it called, for the international people that are in Epcot. They pretty much laid all of those people off.
Right.
So they kind of already did it.
Without calling it a layoff.
Without saying it.
They just released them early.
They released them, go back to your country. Sorry, you're not coming back. We're going to have other people that currently work for us fill your spot. And
several of them are still stuck right now.
Yeah.
I think that's another big piece of this story that we don't have a whole lot of time to cover, and we might in a future broadcast, but there are so many international college program students that were released a couple months ago. Their program was ended very quickly, and they can't even travel back to their own country, and so they're kind of stuck in Florida at this point.
Yeah.
Which sounds horrible.
To get stuck in Florida.
Knee deep in a swamp. What am I going to do?
Just make a friend with an alligator over here. It's just... Yeah, they've already laid off those people in Epcot, so I'm sure right now they're slowly just thinking, obviously they're not letting the part-timers back and stuff. They're probably going to let those people go first. But right now I think that they're, doing as much as they can. And hopefully there's going to be more demand for people to come to the parks later in the fall. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they need to keep these people employed. And then hopefully restaurants open so more people can be employed and whatnot, but I don't want to think about it. I don't like it.
Tyler, and do you think there's enough pent up, I think there is enough pent up demand to try and, continue increasing that capacity at a place like Disney World? Because it seems like there's a lot of interest. It does appear that at least from the reservation windows that we've seen, they've been booked up pretty quick. And in terms of adding that capacity, when they do, obviously they're going to need more and more employees to return. So do you think that might be a saving grace here?
Not necessarily. I don't think increasing the amount of people that can make reservations by a large amount is probably a great idea, and I think they should just kind of stay the course and just. I think we're praising them for being safe right now. I think there's a fine line between being safe and letting so many people in that it's just not going to feel that way anymore. And what that number is, I don't know. They probably have a better idea than I do, but that's my thing too about like opening Disneyland, for example, is like even what I was alluding to earlier about how, you know, these people are going to lose their jobs if they don't open soon. There's a lot of people that are going to lose their jobs even if they do open. So it's a lose-lose, unfortunately. I know this, we're talking about Disney more, but like at Universal Studios, you know, Halloween Horror Nights isn't happening. I know specifically for Orlando, they make as much money at Halloween Horror Nights that they would for an entire year of just running their park on a normal basis.
Excellent point.
And that means that a lot of people are going to be fired. There's a lot of people that aren't even going to get jobs that are there every year. We know a lady in Orlando who does, you know, she works at Disney and she works at Universal, and she does the Halloween Horror Nights stuff every year. And she's not going to have that supplemental income this time. And it's not even just the people in the parks. It's going to be the creatives as well. And so that's really what we need to look at as well, is it's not just going to be the people who are going to have their jobs in the park. There's also tons of people outside of the parks who work on this, you know, who work on entertainment or just different character things, whatever, and they're not going to have a place to go back to for quite some time. So I don't know if, you know, so I just don't know how much it would help to have more people coming in, and I don't know if they will even be able to get more people coming in. So
I guess what I meant was, and you're absolutely right. If it's not safe, then you can't do it. You know, and it would be completely irresponsible to do it. But I think what I meant more so was, you know, I think the demand is there, and so if they can find a way to pull it off safely, which I don't know how you do that, but like, you know, if you can find a way, and if more and more of these, you know, CDC guidelines and these things that have been put in place to try and prevent a spread and try and prevent problems from, you know, sort of resurfacing, if those sort of ease up a little bit and Disney has more wiggle room, I would hope that they might be able to turn that valve on and let that demand back in.
Well, no, I got you. I did. Maybe I didn't specifically address your question, but I got what you're saying. I just think that like what makes it safe is the lack of people. Sure. And open the floodgates, then you're going to see the queues fill up again, and you're going to see, you know, more people getting on the ferry at Magic Kingdom, for example. Yeah. And it's those things that it's the reasons like that where they're only putting like 2 people on a safari at Animal Kingdom, you know, in a row. That's what's making it safe right now. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know. Can you have a good time going to Disney, you know, and having long lines, but then not having those fireworks and stuff? Like we were talking earlier about how, you know, maybe you're not going to have fireworks or whatever, but there's no lines for anything. So you get to go and do tons of attractions. What if there were lines for everything? Then it would be an even worse dollar proposition.
What if they made like a park hopper, but you only get, like, you have to reserve Magic Kingdom, but with Magic Kingdom you're allowed to go to Epcot, and then if you have, or like, let's say Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. So if you had a reservation for Epcot, you're allowed to go to Hollywood Studios, and those are the only 2 you're allowed to go to. Versus like Magic Kingdom, you're allowed to go to Animal Kingdom and back, and then that's it. And then they would have buses that would take you to Animal Kingdom, which you'd have to have a bus driver, which means like someone, you know, that cast member is saved. But then those people would be more enticed to kind of like, okay, well, now I don't have to get stuck in Hollywood Studios. I can go to Epcot. So I guess we can just go between there, you know?
Sure, but I could be wrong about this. Maybe I don't have inside knowledge of it, but I think the reason that they're not letting park hopping is because they don't want people to be using their public transportation as much as possible. I guess so. And if you're going to be throwing people back on the monorail, I just think that defeats the whole purpose of what you're doing to begin with. That's just my opinion of why I would think they're not doing park hopping anymore. Also, I think just to know exactly how many people are going to be at which park every day, and they go, okay, that's how many people are going to be there, and just makes it easier for them to see those numbers. So I think those are the 2 main reasons. But I just can't see them being like, yeah, go and get on some buses and use the monorail. I just don't think they want people doing that a lot. I think they're happy with, you know, get to your park, stay there, then go back to your hotel. You know. And I think that's what's making it safe.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. And I think that, you know, Disney, we've talked to a certain degree that Disney's done things that we didn't even anticipate them being able to pull off in this process to keep people even safer than any of us could have even figured out. They were doing things on top of, sort of those minimal expectations. They were exceeding them. So if any company knows how to do it, it looks like Disney would know how to increase that crowd level and still keep things acceptable. Maybe opening up more spaces behind the scenes to move people around. Who knows? But at any rate, it is very difficult to see layoffs coming in any capacity, whether it be third party or whether it be Disney specific. These people are cast members because they do work on site. They do have the same name tag. You wouldn't know the difference. So it is very hard to see that happen. We wish everybody all the best that has been affected by these layoffs and understand that there's probably many more to come, unfortunately. We are hoping certainly that things turn around very soon.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.